Hey there, fellow collectors. It's New York Toy Fair time, and that means reveals galore. We're not seeing renders, we're seeing actual figures because there are so many great surprises out there. Like, yes, a dinosaur. But before I get started, I want to say a special thanks to Preternia and Pixel Dan, where I got these pictures from. They were lucky enough to be there. We were not, so we got to enjoy it. But the thing they got to enjoy the most is this. This is my highlight of the show, the Action Soldiers Special Forces. This is a legacy figure. I mean, they have knocked it out of the park with these legacy figures, and I think people kind of missed the boat on them because I'll be honest, look at that face. I mean, this is amazing. I mean, this is like you take one of those Valaverse figures and Hasbro does it up. I mean, super cool figure. No knock on Valaverse. They got some really cool stuff, but this figure is just amazing. The fact that you can have multiple versions of them just is so fantastic. I mean, I think about the Halo jumper from before the Legacy series, probably one of the best figures ever. This could be like, just looking at it like this, could be one of the best G.I. Joe classified figures out there. I mean, come on, look at that face mask. Look at all the variations you can have. Fantastic figure. This is the surprise, awesome hit of the day for me. Now, another surprise is Dinosaurs. Yes, maybe Hasbro is going the Dino way, but you see that guy there? That's the Paleo Viper. Yes, the Paleo Viper. So this, what's cool here is you have an army builder that can also be somebody else, because you can army build, yes, with the dinosaurs, but you have Professor Rockclaw, which is the one that actually like trains them and stuff like that. And then you got the Paleo Viper. So you get two heads, so you can actually army build with these, or you can see it like this. But I'll be honest with you, I'll probably just get one and have Professor Rockclaw as my like main guy, because that head sculpt is freaking cool as heck. So definitely worth checking out. But you know, when I look at this, I see like all this opportunity of dinosaurs and all kinds of things. And I think to myself, you know, dinosaurs, they're cool. And you notice that is the thing they showed us. Say, hey, you'll never guess what this is. And a lot of you said dinosaurs, but you know, we don't, before a dinosaur is a Flash. Why don't we have Flash? Why is there no Flash reveal? I may be, beating a dead horse here, but Flash anybody? But you know what? A dinosaur is pretty cool. And they did put up some nice renders from, if you go to G.I. Joe on Instagram, you see some stuff. But another figure we thought was going to be Wild Bill. Oh, no, that's later on, a different retro kind of thing. We have a brand new figure, okay? And his name is Sundown. And Sundown, he is a bounty hunter. Yes, G.I. Joe has bounty hunters that go anywhere. And they said that, he was talking to Pixel Dan, and he said, the Jaguar brothers, the mythology there really like influenced this. So you have the tattoos you see on his arm, and he actually has an eagle tattoo on his neck. And the thing is, you can take his hair off and then put his hat on him, or vice versa. So there's like multiple things there, which is cool. That the poncho comes off, so you have that. I mean, looks like a really cool figure with the tomahawk and his 6-shooter, so really a nice figure if you're looking to pick one up. I know a lot of us thought it was going to be Wild Bill, and we're like, oh, it's Wild Bill. And then we're like, no, it's not. But this is actually kind of a cool new figure. And what's cool is they gave us some ideas for some other figures as well, because they said he's out looking for a headman who kidnapped his brother. So you figure that headman's going to pop up somewhere, and maybe his brother as well. But overall, Sundown looks like a pretty cool figure. Now, next up, we have one we knew was coming. We've known for a long time, Red Dog and Taurus. And here you have the renders. Not that great, but in person, Red Dog looks pretty good. I mean, he actually has it looks like he has some good size on him. I like how he's got the good muscles on there. So he seems much more like size-wise correct versus, how he looked in the render. And yes, I do love the fact that it has the football with the little, football holder you can put it in. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I'm also really happy about Taurus, because now that I see Taurus actually, in person, where he's actually in the figure, way better than render. I think the Red Dog and Taurus renders really didn't give him a good service. That when you see it here with the weapons for Taurus, just looks outstanding. So this one is definitely risen in my pantheon of things that are here. And that's one thing you got to realize is when we see the renders, you always have to wait until you get to see the figures themselves. And then when you get your figures in hand, things might change. And here's the thing. Next up, we have Xenia and the Swamp Skier, or I like to call it the Chameleon. And one thing I want to say is when I looked at the render of Xenia, I thought it was going to be cool. But now when I look at her hair and everything and the glasses, it's not quite hitting as much as I thought it would. Though I'll probably put her like Jason Voorhees, hockey mask head on her instead. But the swamp skier here, it looks okay. Though I wonder how far it'll work in terms of putting Zartan on there or somebody else. I think that's one thing we have to see is like, is it going to fit like a bigger figure or not? Overall, though, I like the swamp skier, how it's on there. At least we have that. And Xenia, I mean, she's okay, but that was one of those. I thought the render looked better than the actual figure. But you know what? I'll definitely probably pick up 2 of these. So I have one with Xenia, then I have one to put one of my, Zartans on there, because that's one of those things. It's such a great vehicle. We all play with it when we were kids, and that was really cool. And speaking of figures we play with as a kid, we finally get to see Airtight, or Norman Osborn crossing over. The MCU is here, and they have him. And what they said is like his helmet goes on, and the lenses in his helmet are clear, so you can see his face. So Airtight really bringing back the old nostalgia one here from the 1985 series. The last one, kind of mainline figure from there. Really cool. I like how the yellow really pops. It's actually yellow, not toned down, so we can sell it as a retro card later. But very, very cool. And he is right next to the Hydro Viper. And the Hydro Viper, this is one, when I first saw him, when the render was there, I'm like, oh, heck yeah. But now getting a little bit closer, I mean, he still looks pretty cool, but he doesn't look as scary as I thought he was going to be. And for those of you wondering, he actually has 2 different heads because the mask was going to be too big to go over a normal head. So they have the head and then the mask as well. So the masked head and then the head by itself, you have those, but does look pretty cool. I'm happy with this one. I was hoping for like a deeper purple, but I'm pretty cool with it. They did a really good job with that mask, and I don't understand how hard it is to get the detail in those kind of fine figures like that. So nice little, nice job they did here in this one, though I probably would have preferred a bit of a darker hue there, but overall, I think, I don't know how much more water-based figures we can get before we get like a whale or a shark or a devilfish. We need something because we can't put it in water, that wouldn't work, is just not holding anymore. It isn't holding anymore, Lenny. Now, next thing up here, and this is another one we've known we're going to be having for a while, the Cobra Royal Guard. Honestly, probably has a good running in with Cobra Island Major Blood for the best head sculpt out there. That blue head is just crazy looking, but the multiple helmets you can put over top of them is really cool. The packaging, it's a deluxe package, so expect to spend a bit more. So if you're going to army build with him, be prepared to have your wallet, really kind of go down. I will say though, really, really cool figure. That face sculpt is amazing. One thing I will say is like, they put him with Zartan when it first came out, but like, they announced it, but that's just such a cool figure. And one thing also to say is when I've seen the poses they've had with him, he actually poses very well. It almost didn't look like it was the figure that they promoted when you're actually with them. So that's kind of cool. Now, I showed a little Zartan before, but now you've probably seen some of the people have had Zartan. Toy Kind of Mood, I think, actually got one of the ones that were on eBay a few days ago. This one in hand looks so much better than the render. I was worried, like seeing this in the box, I was like, I don't know. But then actually seeing it at the toy fair where they have the actual figure there really made it really pop out there. Like, look at that. Like, look at that face. Like, that is like Zartan shoot an arrow through Snake Eyes Master's heart to take care of. But this is a fantastic figure. And you'll notice, like, look how detailed that is. And then the render, it looks a little, rendery, I guess you'd say. But in hand, the Ninja Force Zartan looks great. This is one I definitely want to pick up. Now, this is a February 17th, 1 p.m. Eastern on Target.com and limited supplies on Hasbro Pulse. So that's one of those we're all going to fight over. So be ready and be online. Otherwise, you might be out of luck. Now, next up, we have Overkill. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was worried when I saw the render for him, and I'm even more worried now because this, for me, doesn't look super G.I. Joe classified-y. It does look like G.I. Joe from like the 90s. So that the hyper glow green kind of things. Though I do think it is pretty cool that the guns come out of his chest and how they kind of open up. So I thought that was good how they did that. Also, his face mask comes off. So he is a cyborg. He is not a robot. He is a cyborg. So that is one thing there. But this is probably the one I'm the least excited for. I am a completionist, but I am debating looking at this one, but again, I got to get it in hand to really see, because some things you get in hand, you're like, wow, that is cool. Like Snake Eyes version 4, I wasn't excited for, but then once I actually put the swords in his hand, I was like, this is awesome. So you never know, Overkill might be great. I know some people really like him, but I still see those shorts on him when I look at that. Now, next up, Night Creeper comes back. Yes, we have to have an army builder, and the Dire Tech is back, and yes, that is the exact same head that we had with, Crystal Ball, but it is kind of just another repaint they have, and they love their repaints. You'll see a theme, like a few more this year, but it is cool. It has the Dire Tech with him. I know some people want to have more Dire Tech, kind of soldiers to have, not just the Ghost Viper to go with Crystal Ball. If you do want, they do have the normal, Night Creeper head on there, so you can have them out that way. If you don't want to have them like in their, tripping on acid kind of vibe kind of thing they have, but this actually looks kind of cool. I'm debating which head I'm going to keep him on. I think if I have him, I might keep this on him there, like with the Cthulhu head kind of thing, and then have my Crystal Ball have him like with his normal head. So yeah, it looks really cool. You can see how it totally fits with the whole line there. Going up against Nice Force too would be cool. Now, next up, we have our first Snake Eyes, Don Moreno. I did say we should get at least 2 Snake Eyes this year, and here's one. And Don Moreno, is just had Snake Eyes memories implanted into her. But honestly, this figure, really great head sculpt for like the unmasked face. I think that's really good. Also, I like the fact that he's just not really scrawny. It's like a really muscular woman. So that's really cool. But I do love the Snake Eyes head sculpt. Like I will keep this one up where she has the mask on. So I'll definitely be picking her up. And I thought it was really cool. They had Larry Hama announce her. So that was like a nice little special thing to have. But she's also coming out mainline figure, February 17th, 1 p.m. All the mainline figures go on sale. So you can pick up there. Actually, she's already on sale, so you can go on Hasbro Pulse and get her and other places. Next up, we have the Trouble Bubble, or the Stealth Viper, and it's basically a black repaint of the Trouble Bubble with a red canopy, because, they like to have, repaints. So we have this. This will go with your, Python Patrol version, all the other ones. But it looks actually kind of cool in the black, so that's kind of nice. And I know some people like to display a bunch of these at once, and I think for me, I actually like this black version actually better than the traditional white version, definitely better than the Python Patrol one. But I kind of want to see that the Stealth Viper like out and about to see what's there. And right next to him, of course, I told you we'd have at least 2 Snake Eyes this year, and here's our second one, and it comes with the G.I. Joe ferret, which is actually really cool. I do like it, and you'll notice he's got green pants, and they just love the green pants Joes. Like, can we just get normal all black? But this one, some people are like, oh, is this a Night Force version? No, if you look at this is more like the Renegade Snake Eyes, which gives me hope we might get some of the Renegade figures from there. But it is cool. We do have, another Snake Eye. So we have 2 Snake Eyes and Dinosaurs on this one, and which is cool. But I mean, 2 more Snake Eyes and Dinosaurs before we get Flash? I mean, come on. Can we just get Flash? I mean, you're announcing Dinosaurs and all this other stuff. Please give us Flash. But honestly, I actually really like this Snake Eyes. The Commando version looks like he's got the Alpha Commando head. But if you're going to go for like a Night Force repaint, why didn't you give us Outback repainted and put him on there? I think that would have sold even better. But I understand how important having another Snake Eyes out there is for, Hasbro, because he is one of the main figures. So they do have to have one of those. And the fact that you have that. But for me, I would have preferred if maybe we kind of got the version 2 Snake Eyes with actually black pants, get that in a retro card. That would have been kind of cool, because let's be honest, the version 2 Snake Eyes, the one that made us fall in love with them. But if you couldn't do that, why don't we do some reissues? Like, come on, just straight reissue the, version 1 retro card, because that is the flippiest like paper ever. Give us that new paper out there. But you know what? We can only get what we can get, so I'm happy to have this Snake Eyes. He does look pretty cool if he has green pants again, but it is pretty nice. But would be even nicer if we would have got Flash. That's all I'm going to say. I swear I'm going to stop. I'm going to try to stop talking about Flash, because he is my favorite, but it would have been nice to get a nice little Flash announcement, because, free Flash is very important here in the Walters family. So if you didn't know, we're putting out daily free Flash videos, shorts on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook until we get Flash. But overall, the figures I liked, I think number 1 for me was the Action Soldier Special Forces. This is just such a cool figure. And then number 2 is actually for me is that Green Pants Snake Eyes. I don't know why. I just love him. I think this is a really cool figure. Now, next up for me, Professor Rockclaw, honestly, this head sculpt with the dinosaur, very cool. I like him a lot. Of course, Zartan's one of my favorite villains, and they did a really good. This one jumped up because of how good he looks in person. Next up, Airtight, hey, another classic one. They got that yellow and green down right, so I'm really happy about that. I'm glad his helmet comes off too, so we can see him. Next up for me is the Cobra La Royal Guard, that head sculpt. Honestly, that head sculpt could be a head sculpt of the year so far. It looks fantastic. Then Don Moreno's Snake Eyes. This is one that at first I wasn't sure about, but the more I kind of study her, I really like her. Then I'd have Hydro Viper. This is one I thought would have been higher on my list, but then I saw it. I don't know why, that purple, I just thought it'd be bulkier maybe, but there's that. Then the new figure, Sundown. Cool story. I want to learn more about him, so I know more, but he's kind of in the middle here for me. Next, the Night Creeper with the Dire Tech. Cool figure. I'll probably pick one up, but I've never been a big Night Creeper fan, so that's why it's down there. Then I've got Taurus there. He really picked up with his weapon, seeing it in person, and Red Dog as well. I mean, they've definitely, they're not high on my list, but they're higher than they were of how I kind of expected them to be. Then I've got the Trouble Bubble because, it's another repaint of things out there, and I'm just like, I'll pick it up, but I'm not sure. And then the one I'm least excited about is, is Overkill, just because the color scheme and stuff. But, if I get it in hand, who knows? We'll see how it is. But what was your favorite, toy they showed out, the favorite Joe or Cobra that came out? Are you excited to have some dinosaurs and, Airtight's yellow? Let us know in the comments below which figure you're looking the most out for, because honestly, these all look pretty cool. I just wish we would have got Flash if you didn't know that. But all the best, fellow collectors, and until next time, bye.